Insurance companies are not as evil as everybody makes them sound. Their goal is to give you $1 less. My goal is to get you $1 more.
What is a good insurance policy and what is a bad insurance policy?
You want to make sure that you have enough coverage to support your lifestyle. Insurance is one thing you don't want to be cheap on.
How do I choose a good PI attorney?
That's the $1 million question.
What is a personal injury attorney?
There are 4 types of damages that a personal injury attorney can help someone recover from. Property damage, you have special damages, you have lost earnings. The last one is where most of the money is coming from, is what we call...
Chris, welcome back.
Thank you.
Chris, you are well known in the community. We're talking Yucaipa, Calimesa, Beaumont, Banning, all of this area, even up to Redlands and the Inland Empire in general. A lot of people don't know what you really do. So I'd like to spend today in this interview to really discuss what you do, why it's important. And also there's a new law that is effective January 1st related to the motor coverage. So I want you also to explain to the community what is this law and why they should care and learn about it. So let's start with defining what you do. What is a personal injury attorney?
Absolutely. So a lot of people reach out to someone when they get hurt, whether it's a doctor, which obviously as soon as you get hurt, your kid scrapes their knee, they fall on the playground, or they swallow something, you call 911 to get help. What a personal injury attorney does is we help those people that got hurt because of someone else's action. Legally, that's called negligence. So either the action that caused the injury or the failure to act that prevented the injury from happening. And the thing that people most know about is a car accident. You're following the law, you're going the speed limit within your lane, someone either swerves in your lane, someone cuts you off, or you're stopped at a red light, someone rear-ends you, and you feel a lot of pain in your body. Now, generally, the way that we're designed, your spinal cord from your skull all the way to your tailbone has a nervous system that goes through it. So when you feel an impact, whether it's rear, head-on, or a T-bone side impact, you feel a lot of things in your body that are not the same as they were before the accident. And with that, you call 911, make sure you get a full report so documentation takes place on how it happened, when it happened, who's involved, and then generally speaking, the police officers would put on the police report who caused the accident. They conclude that. Now, a lot of people don't know, the police report is inadmissible evidence. You cannot admit a police report into a trial, with certain exceptions, obviously. But you can get the police officer to come and testify about what they wrote, why they wrote it, who said what, and what time. With that, they can support their conclusion for who caused the accident. Generally, when you see a police report, party 1 is the person at fault, party 2 is the person that's not at fault. Our clients are the ones that are generally listed under party 2 on the police report. So those are the people that did not cause the accident, and they are injured as a result of someone else's either action or failure to act to prevent the injury.
Right. So personal injury means that someone's injured because of somebody else's negligence or whether intentional or not, basically.
Absolutely.
They got injured. They were following the law and everything. And that's when you step in to defend those, to get them the rights they deserve, to get them the settlements that they need.
So first of all, I just want to highlight, if someone intentionally runs you over because they're jealous of you or they hate you, that's a crime. Okay. And that's a district attorney's prosecuting a crime with the state of California versus the individual that violated the social norms in the criminal code. So I don't handle crimes. What I do handle if, God forbid, someone gets involved in an accident when there was a DUI involved. So then I help the person that got hit by the person who was drinking and driving. Their criminal prosecution takes place separately or if someone is driving so fast, an excessive speed, then they cause an accident where someone's life gets lost, unfortunately. Well, then they can go and get prosecuted for vehicular manslaughter. It's a lower level of murder, even though they didn't do it on purpose, but you're so out of line in the thing that you were doing wrong that we will prosecute you criminally. And a civil case cannot start until the criminal case is ended. So sometimes we wait until someone takes a plea or they serve their time, and then we start the civil case. Because if I brought someone in a deposition in a civil case, asked them how fast you were going, if their attorney doesn't tell them, they will say, I reserve my right under the Fifth Amendment not to answer this question, because they don't want to incriminate themselves in a civil deposition when there is a criminal case pending. So with these things aside, there are 4 types of damages that a personal injury attorney can help someone recover from. And they're divided in this way. The first one is the property damage. So if your car was damaged in an accident, obviously, we either get it repaired or get it replaced if it's totaled. Then you have the economic damages, the special damages we call. There's economic and non-economic, but there's special damages. The special damages are the medical bills. So you go to a doctor, you go to the hospital, ambulance takes you to the hospital. Now you owe $1,500 to an ambulance company. You owe $5,000 to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, depending on what the ER does for you. And then after that, you have to go to chiropractic treatment. You get an MRI. You go to see an orthopedic surgeon. All of these are bills that you have to pay unless you have health insurance. Having health insurance causes you to wait for your primary care doctor to make a referral, depending on your health insurance. So a personal injury attorney comes into this special damages part and say, if you need an MRI or you're in so much back pain that your health insurance is going to schedule an appointment a month and a half, 2 months from now, I can have you seen this week. That's where my network of great doctors and facilities comes into play, where I can help you with that. And they see you on what we call a lien. They get credit from your case. You don't have to pay them. Otherwise, no one can get treatment. So they protect their right for their bill on the case. And I sign a lien saying, hey, when I settle this case, I can't pay anybody unless I pay everybody. And that happens with the client's approval. So you have property damage, you have special damages, then you have lost earnings if you miss time from work. So that goes back, present, and in the future. So let's say you're a baseball player and the car hits you from the right side and you break your right arm. You go and you get a cast, you're out of the ER, $6,000 bill. Well, that's $6,000, you're fine. But now you just lost your $2 million contract to play baseball. How much is your injury? How much is your damage? So your loss of earning goes to what you missed from the date of the accident to the rest of your life. Are you able to ever go back to playing baseball now with a broken right hand? So wow, that's something that we calculate.
This could be millions of dollars.
Normally, usually, any accident is millions, because the way I calculate it is, how much can I pay you to come and hit you with a car at 35 miles an hour? Is there an amount in the world that you would say, yeah, please, give me $1 million and hit me with your car at 35 miles an hour? Heck no, nobody wants to be involved in an accident. And unfortunately, we have to convince the other side of the defense insurance companies that, hey, my client was living a great life before their life got derailed by this accident. And they're not the type of people where, oh, I was involved in an accident, let me milk this. Thank God I don't take those kind of clients. And thank God I'm in a town where I have to convince my clients that are injured, please seek treatment. I don't want you to live with this pain. And then I close your case. And then 6 months later, you have pain and we can't do anything about it because the case is closed. So going back to the 4 types of damages, you have property damage, you have special damages, which are medical bills usually, you have lost earnings, and the last one is where most of the money is coming from, is what we call general damages. That's your pain and suffering. How much is it worth that you can no longer play baseball? all your friends, all your life, the community you grew up around is baseball. And now because you broke your arm, forget your $2 million contract, but you just can't play. Because you could be a 16-year-old kid playing soccer and you're riding your bike and someone hits you. And now you broke your knee or you broke your ankle and you can't play soccer. All your friends are soccer players. What kind of life are you going to live now? So those are the things that we try to tell the story of the client to the other side so they can cooperate with us. And most of the time, thankfully, the other side, once you tell them what you're really dealing with, they really want to help you out. Insurance companies are not as evil as everybody makes them sound, but they're in the business to make money. And their goal is to give you $1 less. My goal is to get you $1 more.
In the last interview, we spoke about your journey. But today, I want to cement in the community, in the minds of the people listening, if, God forbid, they get into an accident, what are the immediate steps they need to take to protect their rights and recover as fast as possible?
Absolutely. So obviously, depending on the accident, if it's a fender bender, just communicate with the other person, exchange numbers, have them repair your car or their insurance repair your car.
All right. So these are not, you do not need a personal injury attorney if you had a defender bender kind of situation.
Absolutely. So a personal injury attorney is a bodily injury attorney.
Okay.
So when your car is wrecked, I don't charge you to fix your car. I don't charge you to get the replacement of your car amount. Let's say your car gets totaled in a car accident and your car is worth $20,000. I get you $20,000. I don't charge you anything for that. And I normally don't. A lot of law firms do. A lot of people don't know that. But we don't. We provide that as an extra service to our clients of, I feel bad taking a cut out of your car that's worth $20,000 and you're lost.
Okay, now I get it. Okay.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. A lot of firms, again, they charge 10, 20, 30% on the value of your car. Now, we negotiate loss of use of your car. So let's say for 20 days, your car is in a repair shop, and for those 20 days, you lived without a car. So then I negotiate with the insurance company on getting you something for that time lost, not for the amount of repair. Then we get a percentage of that loss of use. But for your property damage, we don't charge anything.
Okay.
So to your question on if you're in a fender bender in a parking lot here at Vaughn's or Stater Brothers or anywhere else, just work it out.
Right.
My job is to resolve issues that anybody can resolve until you start cussing each other and you start getting mad at each other, which doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, thank God you're okay. Thank God I'm okay. Let's just take care of the stupid bumper.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Where a personal injury comes in is when you have bodily injury. When you're walking and someone hits you and you fall to the ground and hit your head and you get up and you're bruised or you have a bump, we need to look into that. A lot of people walk that off. Like, no. A head injury is a very serious injury. You know, brain science is called soft science for a reason. We still don't know how the brain functions and how the brain gets injured and how do we repair the brain? How do we treat the brain? It really messes with your character. It changes your personality. It increases your frustration, your focus, your memory, all of the things you used to like and don't like. It changes all of that. So you need a personal injury attorney that can tell the story of the before and after. I have a sweetheart of a guy. I love him. Locally here in Yucaipa, got involved in an accident, rollover, missing chunk of his skull.
Oh my gosh.
And his mom and his brother tell me, Chris, he's just not the same guy anymore. We love him. He's our brother. He's our son. But he's just not the same guy anymore. How much is that worth?
Mm.
God forbid, husband and wife, 25, 30 years marriage. Husband gets involved in an accident. The wife wants a divorce. He's not the same guy anymore. He's just not the same guy. How am I going to fix him? What kind of doctor do you send him to? Counseling, therapy, church, community, all of that helps. But I just can't bring him back and rewire him like he was before the accident.
And what's the value of that?
Well, you tell me.
In marriage, what's the value of marriage?
If you're in a jury box and I present this case to you, hey, she adored him. She had 3 kids with him. They lived together for 30 years. And then they have an accident. She can't stand him. What are you going to do? imprison her with a guy that she can't live with, force him to change for her. He's a different person now.
Wow, the configuration of
absolutely.
Of their brain.
There's a significant human aspect to having an injury. Some people hurt their back. They can no longer go out on a date. They don't enjoy sitting down in a restaurant or go to a baseball game or a soccer game.
Let alone
or a football
someone
game.
get like a scar or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, that changes things internally that we're learning that we used to joke and call this new generation the snowflake generation. Well, they react differently to accidents today than you and I did. When we were growing up and we got hurt or someone offended us, it was a different world. And we made fun of it the first 5-10 years ago, but now it's a reality. The 20-year-old kid today getting involved in an accident, it's devastating to them. Like, man, why me? Why did you leave all the other million drivers and you hit my car?
Right.
And you got to start digging deep into, hey, okay, so tell me how you're feeling. What's going on with you? And that's the pain and suffering part that I can send you to counseling. I can send you to therapists. But there's a lot of things that you carry with you and you leave with you. Every time you drive into that intersection, God forbid you have a kid in your car. Someone hits you because they ran a red light. Now, every day you have to take your kids to school through that intersection.
It's a trauma.
Absolutely. And most men don't want to deal with that kind of trauma, right? It makes you look weak. Oh, get over it. Suck it up, like our dads used to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
But our kids are in a different world now.
Yeah.
And we live in a different world. So
immediate steps.
Immediate steps.
I got in an accident, God forbid, anybody watching, anybody listening, they got in an accident, they feel pain. What are the immediate 3 steps that you can think of?
Absolutely. So the first things that you need to do, first 3 things you need to do when you're involved in an accident. Call 911. Ask for help to arrive, to help you and help the people involved in an accident. The second thing you need to do is call your loved ones. Make sure they know you're okay, you're safe, you're going to be late. If you're on your way to work, make sure your work knows that you're not going to be there. Third thing you should know is call a personal injury attorney. The reason why you should call a personal injury attorney right there at the scene is because there are evidence that we can preserve in case there is a liability dispute. Or if there is other witnesses that are involved. There are information that you can gather right there at the scene from someone who's on your side. Because any other personal injury attorney, but if you called me, God forbid, hey, Chris, I was just involved in an accident, what do? I'm going to tell you all the things you should do to look out for you, not to look out for me, my profit margin, my staff, or any of that. I want to look out for you because most likely, if you're calling me at the scene of the accident, you're someone I'm going to see after your case is over. And I want to make sure I take care of you and create that relationship with you and not be, I don't want to name anybody, but the billboard kind of lawyers where you're just a number, you're just a transaction. You're in 6 to 9 to 12 months from today, you're out. Thank you for your business. Have a great life. When you call Markarian Law Group here in Yucaipa, we want to create a relationship. We don't want to create a transaction where we start and we finish at the end of the session of 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months.
And this is evident. Like we live here in the area, and everywhere we go, you're present, you're contributing to the community, you're a force of good in this community, and people like you, people trust you. And that is something, to think about, for when you choose a PI attorney, you want someone who, he's there, he's there for you now and tomorrow and after tomorrow. You're going to actually meet them later down the line in someone's wedding or someone's funeral, God forbid. So, yeah, so it makes a ton of difference when you feel empowered that you have someone that you can call and you can count on. And that's pretty much like what I feel, after knowing you. I feel like I don't need to go to Google anymore if ever something happened.
And I appreciate that. It's very important to me what you're saying, because I live in a town where my mother lives, my grandmother lives, my sister lives, my kids live. Obviously, my wife and I are raising our family here. I want to make sure the way that I serve you is a way that all of my family and friends that are going to run into you and you tell them that, oh, Chris is helping me, they would be proud of the service I'm providing you. And that's how I run my life. You know, I carry a tribe around with me. You've seen me go to the Rose Parade kind of thing. And with 5 kids, mom, grandma, sister, wife, and all of that, I am very blessed. And I want to make sure that anyone that knows me, it's funny, I got to share this story with you. I have a paralegal who was asked to move out of her house. She rented a house out here in Yucaipa, and the owner of the house was going to sell the house. So she asked my paralegal if she can send clients to come and see the house while my paralegal is looking to go and rent another house. Obviously, I referred her to a local property manager who helped her out, and she moved from that house to the house next door. She rented the house next door. But the story is when people walked in to look at the house to buy, the old house that she used to rent, they asked her, what do you do? And she said she's a paralegal. And they asked her, where at? Which law firm? She said, at Markarian Law Group. And the gentleman and his wife that were buying the house, they said, well, we know Chris Markarian. He's a great guy. He's involved in the high school. We've seen him come and give a couple of the lectures. And my paralegal came to work. She goes, I'm so happy that I work for you. I go, what happened? And she told me the story. She said, that made me so proud. And that's the fuel that drives me. A lot of people say, why do you do what you do? I love serving people. I love the opportunity to be there for them because a lot of people have been there for us and helped us out. And now I have all these tools and resources that I could do so much for someone that's involved in a car accident. So that's one of the biggest blessings. I appreciate you bringing that point, is that my kids go to a bunch of schools, from Inland Leaders to Yucaipa High School to Crafton Hills College. I have kids that go to all of these schools, and I want to make sure my kids walk around this town with their head held up high, knowing that we and our family are doing something that is honorable, that is genuine, that we are serving the people and not serving the money. So that brings me great pride. I really appreciate that opportunity.
Awesome. So there is a general perception. As I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people know you, but they don't know exactly what you do. And at least my perception, before I learned about PI attorney, is that when you get involved in an accident, you would call an insurance company because your insurance company are meant to, repair your car and all of that stuff. And I never thought that we need to not to call the insurance company. So why we shouldn't really call the insurance company right away?
Well, and that's a very close to my heart kind of question, because I love my insurance agent. So if you have an agent that you have a relationship with, definitely call your agent. But calling an insurance adjuster, the adjuster that doesn't know you and doesn't care about you, they care about keeping their job. They care about asking you questions to make sure they reduce the value of your case and they minimize whatever you're going through. Now, obviously, they're all trained to ask you, are you okay? Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention? Have you sought medical attention? Do you plan on seeking medical attention? So they ask you these questions to note in your file, because everything you're saying is being recorded and they will use that against you. It's not like the self-incrimination thing, because it's not a criminal case. Anything you're telling your adjuster on the phone is being recorded and will be used in the future, and often is. When a year later we're claiming injuries for treatment that we want compensation, they use the transcript of that phone call of the day of or the day after your accident and say, counsel, your client is either lying now or they lied back then. Because look at this question here in the transcript. Are you hurt? And they said, no, thank God I'm okay. And then now you're telling me they have neck pain and back pain? Like, yeah, well, you talked to them when they were still in shock the day of. They just got home, reported the claim, and the adjuster asked, are you hurt? Well, no, thank God I'm not dead. But it doesn't mean I'm not hurt, as in I'm a doctor. I diagnosed myself and had an MRI in my house. But that's what they do all the time. And that's why I say, don't call the insurance adjuster and give them all the information before you talk to someone who cares about you.
But ideally, we should call everyone should have in their phone the number of a PI attorney.
Well, if you don't have it in your phone, just Google me and look up personal injury attorney or accident attorney in Yucaipa or Markarian Law Group, preferably if you're familiar with the name.
Got it. Now, speaking of insurance, what is a good insurance policy and what is a bad insurance policy?
Any insurance policy that my insurance agent gets you is a great insurance policy. But here are the things that you need to look for when you're getting car insurance. As we discussed earlier, the policy limit is something that you have to look at. But the type of coverage is important too. A lot of people say, I have full coverage. Not understanding, full coverage means you're covering yourself from liability and you're covering the other side, which the law requires you to cover the other side. So everyone has a minimum required by law. Liability coverage, it was $15,000 for the last 50 years. They just changed it to $30,000. So if you caused the accident, the person that you caused the harm to can only get up to $30,000 from you.
And that's the new law that in effect in January.
Now, that's right. January 1st, 2025, they went from 15 per person, 30 per accident, to now 30 per person, 60,000 per accident. And 10 years from now, in 2035, it's going to go to 50 per person, 100 per accident, which the last time it was changed in California was 1967. Imagine between 1967 and 2025, how much the $15,000 has lost its value.
And that means that when you get involved in an accident, this is the amount of money that your insurance company is going to pay the other party, not you.
That's right. That's right. So 3 things you should look for when you get car insurance. First is the limits. What is the limit that you're looking for? And if you have assets you want to protect, normally I recommend you go with the highest limit. The second thing that you want to look for is the coverage. What kind of coverage are you looking for? You're looking for liability only? Are you looking for full coverage? Liability only, people save like $50 a month by just ensuring that the other car, it gets damaged or hurt, or other person gets hurt, then your insurance will pay them and not your car. So if you have full coverage, that means you're covering your car and the other car. If you have liability only, you're covering the other car and the other person. Then the third thing you want to look into is UM/UIM coverage. And that's the most valuable thing you can do. That's the insurance that you should always have, because that's the insurance that protects you from uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist. An uninsured motorist is someone driving around. Unfortunately, now we're going to have more of them because of the insurance premiums going up. People carelessly drive around with no insurance. So someone that hits me and rolls over my car with 7 people in it has zero money to pay us. And our ride to the hospital alone is $10,000 to $15,000. So what I have done, again, because of a great insurance agent that educated me, besides the point, this is obviously what I do for a living, you want to make sure that you have enough coverage to support your lifestyle and your assets. If you have assets to protect, someone is going to sue you if you killed someone, God forbid. They're going to come after everything that you own that is not protected. So you want to have that highest coverage to make sure people are fairly compensated. So obviously, you want to make sure that you have the right limits. You want to make sure you have the right coverage. And you want to make sure that you have the UM/UIM. Those are the 3 things that I recommend everybody should review with their insurance agents and make sure. Notice I didn't say the cost, because you have to get what you need. And if it costs more, then it's worth it, because insurance is one thing you don't want to be cheap on. And unfortunately, very sadly today, a lot of people that, as you're aware, because of the winds and the fires that we're dealing with in Malibu and Altadena area, I hope and I pray to God everyone had adequate insurance, because those that didn't, it's devastating. And that's property insurance, right? Homeowners insurance.
Which you don't deal with properties.
I don't deal with unless someone trips and falls in your house and they get injured and they break a hip in your house.
What about if the fire came and I like a lot of people unfortunately lost their lives in the fires?
That's right. So now the fire claims for the damages are not going to be against your homeowner's insurance. They're going to be against who caused the fire. And I know a very great law firm that all they do is specialize in wildfire recovery for the victims of wildfire that have lost their homes. It derails their lives. Imagine you just don't have a home tomorrow. Not only your house and valuables are gone, that you need to sit down and itemize everything to see what its market value is, but you can't go to work.
Yep.
You can't go to sleep. You know, I mean, you're in a hotel room, you have kids. How are you going to feed your family? You're going to spend money from outside getting junk food instead of the home cooked meals you were having in your nice kitchen every day. So there are law firms that specialize in that, and we've partnered with very good law firms. You know, when the Calimesa fires unfortunately happened, that trash truck that dumped the trash on the freeway that was burning in his truck to save his truck, instead of enclosing the fire and keeping it in, caused all those fires in Calimesa.
Oh, wow.
So we partnered with Gary Dordick's office. We had Steve Dillon, local guy that grew up here in Yucaipa and now lives in Malibu. And the Dillon law firm did a lot of work to help the Calimesa fire victims as well. So those are different than what we do. We help people with personal injury, bodily injury, and make sure that if they come to your house and trip and fall from your stairs because they're not per regulation, however stairs should be, or if they step out of your house on a California window where the whole thing slides out, there are certain regulations that you have to have 36 inches out for someone to step, then step down. And if you don't have those things, then I will come after your homeowner's insurance policy. One fun story to share. It was a very unique story because such a sweetheart of a veteran went to help his brother put up some lights. And the brother asked for the help, and retired veteran goes to help his brother put up some lights. Gets a ladder, goes up on the ladder, and they're missing some parts. The brother goes to the store. While he's in the store, the retired veteran helping his brother's home falls and gets injured, serious injury off the ladder. And they called me out because they know me and they're good friends of ours locally here in town. And I said, listen, we can go after the insurance policy, even though the brother didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but you got injured. It's premises liability. Premises liability, anything that happens on your property, it's your fault. It's as a result of your negligence. And the brother should have been there holding the stair for his brother instead of going to the store. Well, obviously, you can only imagine a brother suing his brother. So I had to explain, hey, we never sue a person. I don't go after you. I go after the insurance coverages that you have. So after convincing them, we recovered over $200,000 for the brother that fell off the ladder. And I hope and pray, and I think they still are in very good relationship. Obviously, the insurance company says, what are you doing suing your brother? Shame on you. But hey, I'm injured. And I was injured trying to help my brother. And my brother could have done something to prevent that injury, and he didn't. So now they learned from that, and they hire an electrician. They're still good brothers.
That is mind-blowing. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The things that you hear and the things that people need to be aware of, especially in policies. Like right now, I'm really rethinking, and probably I should go ahead and call my insurance agents and reevaluate all of these policies that we have, because a lot of people don't think about it. Like, I really don't know how much I'm covered for, what's my limits. I have no idea. And I'm sure that a lot of people listening to us.
Absolutely. I love it when they say, I have full coverage. Well, I'm glad you have full coverage. What are your limits? I don't know. What about your UIM limit? That's the number one number I need. When someone calls us to sign us up, I want to know what your limits are, so I don't treat you, if you have $15,000 policy limit, I don't want you to have $50,000 in medical bills. How are we going to pay that? So unfortunately, you would have excluded yourself from recovering money to go in your pocket after your pain and suffering is taken care of, after your medical bills are taken care of, if you don't have enough coverage. So having their UIM number when you first call me, That's what starts our conversation. Because what if the other guy that hit you or the gal that hit you didn't have any insurance? Why are you relying on them? So you have to be proactive in making sure you're protecting yourself and your family or anybody else that gets in your car.
And can people call you or something if you would recommend a good insurance agent?
Oh, I have a great insurance agent. Please call me. I will make sure. And I tell people, you want cheap insurance or do you want good insurance? And the people that want cheap insurance, like you're sacrificing your well-being, your safety, instead of, having 2 less coffee cups in the month. Pay that extra $25, $30 and get better insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So what are the case steps? Let's say someone gets you involved, get the Markarian Law Group involved in their case. What are the steps? What are the timelines? What are the costs, if there's any?
Absolutely. So there are very simple steps in any personal injury case. And people think they can handle it themselves. You see all these ads on YouTube now. Don't hire a lawyer. There's this AI generator that will do this and that for you. If you're not really hurt and you don't care about yourself, great. Go do the AI generator. But if you really want to get the right help, this is what we do every day, all day. We deal with it all the time. So once you call us, the first thing we need is for you to sign a retainer. The retainer says, you don't pay us anything unless we recover for you. And that gives me the authority to go and negotiate on your behalf. Then the next thing we ask is for you to get yourself taken care of. Physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever we need to do to get you to the point you were before this accident. We're trying to recover from this accident. That process depends on you. When you ask me how much is my case worth, I don't know how much your case is worth when I first meet you, but your case is usually worth millions of dollars, but the limit is $15,000. So the value of the case is different from what you can recover. Unfortunately, we have a lot of cases worth millions of dollars, but we're limited by the policy limit. Some things that we look into at the time of the accident, if you were working or you were delivering for Uber Eats or Instacart, well, there are other policies involved besides that small limited policy. So, but to your question on what is the process and the steps of the case, the first thing is retention. The second thing is treatment. Once you're done treating, then we gather records and we file what we call a offer to settle. We used to call that a demand, a demand to say, hey, you caused the accident, we suffered this injury, we're demanding you paying us. Now we're saying an offer to settle. We're offering you an opportunity to resolve this case. And that timeline depends on your injuries. If you have no injuries and all we do is chiropractic treatment, you get an MRI, we make sure you're okay, you don't need any pain management, your case should be resolved within 6 months. At least we thrive on making sure that our clients are served within 3 to 6 months if there's nothing going on that they need to prolong their treatment. If you need pain management, if you need specialists to be involved, orthopedic surgeons and spine surgeons, well, now you're looking at 6 months to a year from that regular under 6 months. Now I should know within 1 year, what are you going through emotionally? What are you going through physically? What kind of treatments we can get you to make sure that we get you to recover, again, physically and emotionally. I have a case where a young lady lost her husband 3-4 years ago. She's not ready to talk about it. How are you going to evaluate the damages? She's not ready to talk about it 4 years later.
Oh, wow.
Case is going to trial for a wrongful death accident that wasn't her husband's fault. So, but again, the timeline depends on the type of injury that you're suffering and you're dealing with. Once you're done treating, then we can sit down and evaluate the case and say, this is the value of the case, but this is the limit that we can recover. Sometimes there are no limits. If you have a commercial policy, it's $1 million limit. Sometimes they're self-insured. I've sued a trucking company that was self-insured, so there's no limit. If you sue a government entity for something that's done wrong, there's no limit. Unfortunately, I don't want anyone to sue my city, but if someone would to sue the city of Yucaipa is self-insured. They have their budget, and people can go after that whole budget, which is why they hire good law firms. They make sure they protect themselves. They make sure everything is done safely in our town.
But what are the we hear some cases that go into the millions, and it's just a car accident. Maybe the limit is not that great. So is there any exception where the limit is only small, yet you can still pursue a case and get millions you can recover millions?
That's the $1 million question. So this is what we are beginning to specialize in. We are beginning to specialize in, because we've done it so many times now, when you have a catastrophic injury where the value is in the millions of dollars, we should be your first call, not the second or the third. We should be your first call immediately, so we can preserve all the evidence and make sure we look at all the avenues of recovery beyond just the car's policy limit. So the answer to your question is yes, there are exceptions. And the exception is when the insurance companies act in bad faith. When the insurance company is given an opportunity to resolve a case and resolve an injury settlement, and they don't do it the way that they should be doing it, the law allows us to go after the insured for the full value of the case. And then once we get a judgment for those millions of dollars of the value of the case, then their insured is going to turn around and sue their insurance for acting in bad faith and not abiding by their contractual agreement that says the insurance company's job is to protect and defend their insured people. And once we get that assignment, then we can go after that $10 million judgment and recover it from the insurance company. And I'll share another story with you. Unfortunately, I helped a family recover from an injury and a wrongful death accident where the person that caused the accident had $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident limit. And the insurance company did not act in good faith, and they exposed their insured for the full value of the life that was lost and of the severe injuries and the lifelong injuries that the passenger was going to suffer. That case that had a limit of $50,000, after 4.5 years of litigating it and fighting it, we were able to recover millions of dollars for that case. So it's a small town. I don't know how much I can share about how my clients recovered, but I was very, very blessed to be part of that journey with that family where we were able to recover millions of dollars for them as a result of their injury.
And this brings me to the question, again, maybe $1 million question. How do I choose a good PI attorney? What makes a PI attorney good versus bad?
And that's a very good $1 million question. So a lot of people say small town lawyer doesn't have the influence of big time, big city, metropolitan city kind of a lawyer. Well, I'll tell you this. Any case that needs the handling by any lawyer in the world, I can handle. Why? Because after you come to me with your $100 million case, you are limited by that contractual agreement with me. So I get to go and hunt for the biggest and the best weapon in the world to fight for you. And sometimes that means bringing in the best lawyers in the country. As a matter of fact, I've done it many times, and I've done it very successfully. I love the lawyers I work with. We have a case, again, one of our very good friends and mentors is Mike Alder. Mike Alder is involved with us in a lawsuit right now that's going to go to court. Another law firm that we work with is Chernoff's firm. Chernoff's firm is the leading pioneer law firm in bad faith law. I have a lot of good friends that are lawyers that do it on their own, or they work for big firms that I have access to. So back to your question on how do you choose a PI attorney? You want to choose a PI attorney that's going to put you first and not the money first. And I have truly been very blessed to have had the opportunity where, because I have put people first, the money has followed. And they keep coming, and they keep coming. And now I'm thinking about growing and doubling the size of my business in the next year or two. I need another office. And we're looking at different locations of whether we're going to expand towards the desert, towards Riverside. But we need to help more people because people are seeing the value in the service that we provide versus the, I don't know if I can call it service, but the transaction they're getting from anyone else.
And it's amazing that when people retain you, they're not only accessing the resources within the walls of this firm, you could basically hire other specialized lawyers to bring them on the case, which means that they get the best of the best, really.
Let me share a success story with you. We had a case where a gentleman who was high and drunk decided to go and smash up some windows and scare his neighbors because they owed him money for some landscaping work. The police were called, and unfortunately there was an incident involved where the police shot and killed him. Well, Chris Markarian has not handled wrongful death lawsuits against big police departments. But I know the best guy in the country, and that's Del Gallipo. Del Gallipo is a good friend. Met him a couple of times at some of the conferences that we go. I called him, asked him, convinced him, and begged him, please help this family that came to a friend of mine that I was introduced to because they deserve your help. They deserve the best. And God bless his heart, Del Gallipo is a true warrior for the people. Went to federal court. This was a federal case in front of a jury that awarded us and the family $10 million. So anywhere else that you would go where people give up and say, no, this is hard, we're going to have to spend a lot of money, I don't have that kind of capital. Well, I have people that have unlimited capital. We can sue anybody, including, we were talking about Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk and Tesla, but I have law firms now that I have access to that if there's a Tesla malfunction, unfortunately the lights were out in our town the last few days, and an autopilot, the Tesla is not recognizing it's an intersection. It's just rolling through it. Nobody should be going through a darked out city on autopilot, but still, that's something, had that caused an accident, I think Tesla should answer to that, even though it's supposed to be supervised. So everybody should be supervising it. But those are the types of things that are coming up in the next 3 to 5 years with the technological advancement of AI and autopilot and all of that. So I'm not afraid of going against, as a matter of fact, I've had a case against General Motors that we sued General Motors for a restraint malfunction in an Astrovan, a 2006 Astrovan. And that was with a very good friend of mine from LA. Again, we have all of these resources that any lawyer, any law firm has right here in the beautiful small town of Yucaipa. So there's no case that we can't handle.
That's wonderful. The last question I want to ask you is back kind of to the people who try to abuse the system. How do you detect them? How do you know that someone is coming, trying to act out? And obviously this is a bad reputation for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. So we've gotten much better. Unfortunately, I was a lot, I don't want to say naive, but I always want to believe in the best version of people. And in my line of work, when you tell me, hey, I never had headaches before, or I never had neck pain before, I had neck pains from this accident, I believe it. I have no reason not to. But now we check. So we trust, but we verify every case now. And my staff is well trained to make sure that whatever story we get from the beginning is corroborated by the police report, it's corroborated by the other side. And if there's any dispute, we sit down with the client to make sure they understand, hey, this is not the place where you want to come and fake your injury. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that to you. We're not going to allow you to go down that path because it's ugly. And like you said, I don't want that on my name. When people know who I'm representing, I work with these same defense attorneys. I mean, there's only 5 or 6 major insurance companies, and they have the same law firms. So handling thousands of cases that we've handled, we deal with the same firms. So people know who I am and what kind of cases and what kind of clients I bring. And that brings me great pride. I would not want someone to come here and fake or lie about their injuries. And I advise them, please go somewhere else. Don't come here.
Right. And I want to tell the listeners and the watchers of whatever we're doing is that coming up, we're going to talk more about individual cases, probably without the names and stuff, but we want to showcase real cases, real stories of suffering and recovery and how you handle it so that people are aware in the finest details of how you conduct the business.
I got all kinds of stories. And unfortunately, most of them are very sad because I don't care how much I recover for you. I don't want you to be involved in an accident. And that goes back to all the things that we do here to avoid you getting involved in an accident. There's no amount of money or treasure in the world that would make up for you to lose a loved one. So, yes, we have stories. Most of them are sad, but we have a lot of success stories from moderate injuries, severe injury accidents, that, or even a wrongful death that you should not have recovered anything more than $50,000. But here are millions of dollars to compensate you.
And this is justice served. So this
absolutely.
is basically the main goal. When we say success stories, of course, every accident is a sad story. But the success story is when the justice is being served.
Absolutely.
And people feel that they, so this is coming up. I'm excited to have these episodes coming in and keep educating and informing the community, because these are like, it's basically a channel for making people aware of their rights and what they should do to protect themselves. So I appreciate you having the time, and I look forward for the next one.
Well, Naja, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, because this is things that I've been doing for years, but I haven't had the chance to reach out in the method and in the format that we're doing it today. So this is wonderful. It brings me great joy, and it humbles me to have the opportunity to reach out to so many now that we have the social media avenues of reaching people, instead of just saying hello at school or on the soccer field or seeing you at the grocery store. So thank you for all the efforts that you're putting into helping me with this as well.
Appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.